traveling the world to shoot episodes of Capturing Car Culture, but sometimes the best builds are right in our backyard. Gunther Werks builds boutique air-cooled Porsches in Southern California. The carbon wide-body twin-turbo version that I had a chance to drive cost $1.8 million US. I wanted to do a deep dive into how they build these cars from scratch, so I went to their facility in Huntington Beach to check it out.
This started out as a 1995 C2 993 coupe, and then we stripped it down to the chassis. We then bring the chassis back to new, we media blast it, and then the only things that we save from the original cars, essentially the chassis, the exterior door cards, side mirrors, the gauges. Depending on the program, we'll save the gearbox casing, we'll save the engine casing as well, so all the numbers are matching. And we work with Roth Sport that helps design a new motor for us that's 4 liters, flat 6. It's still an air-cooled car. Even though it has twin turbochargers, it's a water-to-air charge cooling system.
The crazy thing to me is, if I didn't know any better, I would think this is a brand new car. It essentially is a brand new car, but the fact that it started off life as a 30-year-old car, it kind of blows me away.
When you see the chassis after it's been media blasted, it looks like a brand new chassis too. So everything down to the bones. Even the wiring harnesses in these cars are completely new.
It's really the fit and finish. I look at everything in terms of the door panel, just all the little things that were redesigned and made into carbon. That's what's really impressive.
Thank you. And all the carbon we do ourselves. We do here in Southern California at our neighboring facility. And as you pointed out, the quality of the weave is unbelievable. And the experience that this company has in carbon technologies even precedes Gunther Werks, because the owner was very experienced in carbon fiber before he started this company.
So what is this rear shelf area used for now?
So this is used for soft bag storage. It's a large triangular cavity that you can put 2 small soft bags in there. With the intercooler in the front, there's not much of a frunk left. There's a small frunk, but it's very small. So this at least allows you the opportunity to put, a couple backpacks or a couple small duffel bags back there. I mean, make no mistake, the DNA of this car and the ethos is rooted in performance. Its focus is not to be a grand tour. It can do that very well because it has a very comfortable advanced electronic JRZ suspension. Normally this deck lid would open a little bit higher, but it's a little limited because of the wing and the high downforce package. There's a few different wings you can get on this car.
So the nice thing is you don't have to start with a turbo chassis.
Correct.
You could just use a regular C2 like you mentioned.
Correct.
Because all of this is carbon anyways.
Correct. And it's rear wheel drive, so it's not a C4. This is my favorite part of this vehicle. This flat fan, it invokes romantic motorsport Porsche history from the 917 or 935, and the nickel-plated finish, the nickel-plated charge coolers with the 4-liter twin-turbo badging.
The flex for me is the leather on the firewall. That is
and the engine blanket.
Something else.
Yeah. The standard color is black, but for this we decided to bring in, and most clients decide to bring in some of the strong interior accent colors into the car.
So how much power does this one make?
So this makes 830 horsepower with 600 foot-pounds of torque, and that's in track mode.
That is crazy.
In sport mode, it makes about 650 horsepower. In comfort mode, it makes 550 horsepower.
The exhaust too.
Yeah,
Amazing.
It's a titanium exhaust system with 3D printed titanium exhaust tips.
This piece is beautiful too.
Oh, thank you.
I see what you mean. Tiny frunk.
Tiny frunk.
But this is all functional because it goes through the intercooler here.
Correct. And this beautiful carbon fiber piece enshrouding it. And the JRZ reservoir canisters, you can get these in different colors. These are orange to match the paint. You can see the blanket that's carried through as well that matches the blanket in the engine bay.
One thing that might be lost a lot of times on camera is the fact that they even went out of their way to make sure the weave is going the same way. With a piece like this, that A, you won't really see that often, and B, there's so many curves to it. It's almost like you have to decide, okay, so it's obviously matching this way, but then because of the curves, you know, it's going to have different directions, but there's just so much thought into the little things like that.
And it's all a handmade process. So very, very talented team.
Even the underside of the hood.
Right, in the gloss finish. And I love the contrast that, you know, the underside of the hood is gloss. This part is in a satin. You'll notice that the seats aren't a gloss carbon fiber, but the rest of the interior components, including the floor and top dash, are in a satin. So I like the contrast of the carbon from the gloss and the satin on the inside of the car as well.
So why the 993 chassis?
Well, you know, the owner and the founder of the company had a very strong affinity for the 993 and where it stood within Porsche's history. It was a big leap in technology from the 964 to the 993. One example is the multi-link rear suspension that the 993 had that the 964 didn't have. But also, fundamentally, from an aesthetic point of view, it's like you put the 964 almost in a wind tunnel and it came out like the 993. So I think between the owner and a lot of the passionate Porsche fans, they see the 993 as a bridge from the past into the modern world, but also more important to the identity of the 993 and within its place in Porsche's history is that it's the last of the air-cooled cars. So all those elements together make it a very important piece of Porsche's history, but I think there's a strong degree of passion that continues to grow within the Porsche community around this identity.
Has anybody asked for you to build another chassis, like a 964 or something?
We do, absolutely. We do get requests because a lot of our clients have a broad passion with multiple different generations of Porsche, but we have our hands full with some exciting projects that are coming down the way, and you'll be seeing later this year. But for right now, we're focused on the 993.
I also had a chance to catch up with the founder of Gunther Werks on the main production floor where the newest builds are being assembled. What is your thought, or what do you think about when you walk through here now?
We've got a lot of cars to build. And, we've outgrown this space very, very quickly. So we're kind of bottlenecked by the production space that we have, and we can only fit so many technicians in here. But we've got, as you can see, a lot of cars to build and a lot of owners anxious and waiting for their cars. So that's the first thing I think about when I go back here is saying, my gosh, we have to catch up on our production.
I couldn't imagine you thought that it would get to this point so quickly.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea. It has been 8 years. We just turned 8 on May 5th, right after the Star Wars Day. And it's been a journey, 8 years of developing this from scratch. And I think the biggest challenges that we had to overcome is not to just build the concept car, but to productionize everything has been the biggest challenge for us. It's incredibly difficult because it's sort of the bottom of the iceberg under the water that you don't see. It looks very, very easy from an outsider looking in. Oh yeah, they can start building Porsches and painting them. But the amount of work that's involved on the back end with the engineering and the operations and so forth and supply chain management, that has been just a big struggle for us for the last 8 years. And it's taken us, honestly, in my opinion, a lot longer to get here than we thought.
One of the things that I wanted to pick your brain about is your move from building parts for other cars, building wheels, building carbon parts, and then eventually thinking, hey, I can build my own car. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you've already learned so much from building parts.
Right.
Body kits. Like, what was that whole process like?
There was, obviously a gross underestimation of how difficult it was to put together a car because there's so much more involved with mechanical engineering, wiring, like I said, productionization. It's just a big labor of love. I mean, these cars are 5,000 to 6,000 man hours to build, and they're done by hand, not by machines. So I think that transition was very, very challenging for us over the last 8 years, and we've, finally kind of overcame the production hurdles in the last 2 years. But it's definitely been something that we did not expect. I can tell you honestly, I didn't expect it to be this difficult. Where a lot of car builders get stuck is going through that transition of building the first prototype car into productionization and trying not to lose money building every car. So it's been a very, very difficult challenge for sure.
Like, what was the deciding factor? Was it something where you're like, I know this space, I know these things will do well? Like, what was the deciding factor? Because you, like I said, you already made so many carbon parts for so many years. How many years did you make carbon parts for?
23 years. The good thing is we did have an advantage in the fact that we were vertically integrated and we're a manufacturer, not just buying parts from somebody else and putting labels on it. So the fact that we had that production background and that experience really helped us and gave us an advantage when we started this business. Really the kind of moment where I felt like we wanted to build our own cars was when I was modifying and tuning modern production cars from all kinds of makes and models, BMWs, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens. We started noticing, in the last 8 to 10 years where cars started getting too heavy, they became too digital and they became too numb. Cars were getting faster, but it wasn't as fun to drive, and you couldn't really feel the connection to the car or feel anything on the car unless you were doing over 100 miles an hour. And that's the beauty of these analog cars, is you could be doing 30, 40, 50 miles an hour and have fun driving it, and because you have that analog experience and there isn't a computer between you and the car filtering all that out. And so what we want to do is take technology and inject it into the analog car in the right way where it enhances that emotional analog driving experience and also have modern performance. So you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. You can have that analog driving feel, have all the goodness of the analog driving cars that we all fell in love with all of the modern performance and technology integrated into it, where it's in a balanced way, where the car is enjoyable to drive and also performs well.
How many vehicles have you built now?
I think we're now a little over 50 cars over the last 8 years. And we're finally finishing the last of the Speedsters. And we've already transitioned late last year into all the turbo production. So we're going to see a lot of turbos coming out in the next couple of years. And we also have something special being released at Quail this year.
So how far backed up are you right now? Like, let's say if somebody were to order a turbo today, are they all sold out, or what is it looking like?
We are about 4+ years on the turbo wait list right now. Unfortunately, we are not making hundreds of cars a year. We're only making a small handful because of the capacity that we have, and everything is hand built. Because of that, we have a backlog due to the production capacity constraints that we have. So we're about 4 years plus out on any new builds. First thing we did is we used the outer suspension mounting points on the front. All Porsche 911s are homologated race cars. So Porsche has 2 suspension mounting points. The inner is used for all the production cars, but the outer mounting points are used on all the Porsche race cars. And that's the first thing we did because we wanted to square up the track. And once we'd done all the chassis and suspension work on the car, we developed the body around that instead of the other way around. You can see underneath the car, I mean, every bolt, every component, washer of the car is brand new. It's a car that's from 1995, but it's basically a new car.
How much of there is an underbody to cover all this stuff? Because it's so crazy how beautiful this looks right now.
Yeah.
So does this all get covered up?
This area does not get covered up, but on the turbo, there's partially covered up because of the diffuser. But yeah, we do have underbody panels that are going in. You need that for aerodynamics, and you want to have smooth airflow underneath the car. Yeah, this is before all those underbody panels go in, and you can see all the work that we've put into it and how, every single part is basically brand new and bespoke. It's not off-the-shelf parts.
What immediately blew me away was how many of the components Gunther Werks produces in-house, whereas so many other small volume manufacturers would outsource things like headlights, taillights, and hardware. They make all of this stuff in Southern California.
This is where we assemble headlights and taillights, those of which we design in-house and we assemble in-house. So that's something that I think is super unique. This is Janie, she runs this department. So she does headlight, taillight assembly, steering wheel assembly, gauge assembly, mirror assembly. We have 2 steering wheel designs that we offer. This is the standard wheel in the turbo, except with the turbo it would have the power mode adjusting right here and the nose lift as well. But this carbon fiber design is representative of the wheel that's in the turbo. And then for our taller drivers, we created a concave steering wheel. So for the drivers that are sitting all the way back in the seat, but felt they were reaching a little too far forward because in the 993 there's no telescoping steering wheel adjustment, we created this concave steering wheel design that sits about 2 inches closer to the driver. But we also took this opportunity to kind of redesign the steering wheel itself. So this section is made from aluminum. It has 5-axis pocketing in here in the spokes for weight saving. It also ties to the design identity of some of our new wheels that have 5-axis pocketing. The rim is still carbon fiber. It can be in Alcantara, it can be in leather, custom stitching, custom 12 PM marker as well. So these headlights here were our original headlight design that was on the coupe and the Speedster. Now for our turbos, we've redesigned the LED beam ribbon to now be a continuous piece. You'll notice that on the original, there was an interruption at the top. We've also taken this opportunity to change and improve the design language on the LED beam. And this is our latest, our X design.
So then, do these have to go through some sort of certification for road cars?
This uses, the backing right here is the original Bosch.
What blows me away is that so much goes into designing something like this and creating something like this just for a Gunther Werks vehicle. You can't just buy these and put them on your 993.
Although we do get tons of requests, and so we say, absolutely, you can get a set. It comes with a Gunther Werks. The thing that I really like about this story is that Gunther Werks never rests on their engineering or design laurels. They're always pushing the boundary. So it's not like we were fine with this one headlight design and we're going to carry it over to our models. We created our cup design. We've then taken that a step further with our GWX design headlights. So you remember from classic Le Mans race cars that would have X tape bracing over the headlight housing? It's kind of combining that and the X brand identity that's with Gunther Werks as well. So this is the optional upgraded headlight. This is the standard headlight on the new turbos going forward. And now we're entering the engineering side of our building. So this is where, I mean, this department designs everything from buttons to exhaust to intake plenum systems.
Pretty much, you name it, anything that's not a Porsche part, you're making it here.
This stuff, is it just developed here and then it's mass produced somewhere else?
Yeah, we do a lot of, especially for like 3D printing stuff, we make a lot of prototypes here. It's just quick, we can start something on the printer, we'll get ready to go home for the night and it's ready by the time we get in. And then, yeah, we have a CNC factory. And then we also do a lot of carbon fiber stuff at our other location right down the street.
So is this the nose lift system?
Yeah, it's kind of this little suitcase package that we have. Basically, we want to remove as much stuff from the engine that would be drawing horsepower. So we remove the power steering pump, we remove the AC compressor, and then we also have added like a nose lift system. And it's a lot of pieces, right? So we want to be able to package everything as tight as possible. So we made like little sheet metal brackets and everything. Check this out. This is for a double wishbone front suspension for a 993, and it's a full billet, all custom spec to use a center lock. So
this is 3D printed metal?
Yeah, that's Inconel actually.
Wow.
And you can feel kind of the weight. This is the original. This is from a 997 GT3, and then that's what we made it.
Oh, it's so light. This is so cool. Just all of this.
If you have a cool car to sell, check out Hagerty Marketplace. It's free to list your car. You get dedicated support before, during, and after your auction. You get to keep 100% of the profits. Check out the link down below.
What we're entering in right now is our paint and polishing department. So we have 2 paint booths on site. We do all of our paint development on site as well. This is a really special candy paint on one of our last coupes. This is a GWX coupe. So it's a coupe that has unique body panels on it that are only available on the GWX. We've only done 2, or will be doing 2 GWX coupes, and it has this beautiful purple candy paint that, you know, was 3 weeks in the paint and the polishing process. And then you can see up here, it has an exposed carbon fiber stripe with a silver pinstripe outlining it.
This is incredible.
Right.
I can't believe how many layers there are.
Yeah.
It just has so much depth. There's no other way to explain it. And it's like purple and then it turns blue.
Yeah.
And then there's just like that pearlescent in it.
Right.
What a amazing
And
color.
no orange peel in our paint, you know, which is a real credit to this polishing department right now.
It's like glass. It looks really good. Wow, the interior, all of it.
So this is like, you see the chassis, you know, when we remaster the chassis, it looks like a brand new factory chassis, which it is.
I love that all of this is retained.
Yeah.
I mean, this really is the heart of early 911 or air-cooled 911. I think that's so cool.
Correct.
Jeez. And what blows me away is like this part will never be seen ever again.
I know.
But it's so pretty.
Right. I know, it's almost a crime.
Including the window
Yep.
area and all of that. That's what's really cool. Look at this. So then tell me about the donor vehicles. Is it something that the owner has to source, or do you have them?
We can help the owner source it by referring them to an expert broker who all they do is find clean 993s all day. That's prototypically how 80% of our clients and what we do to recommend it, because a lot of clients, if they find the donor on their own, sometimes they won't do all the necessary homework or examination, and you know, you could find that there's rust underneath the window seal because there was a bad seal, but unless you're an expert looking for those things, it can be hard to find. So it is the owner's responsibility.
Because that's something that you don't want to have to deal with.
Correct.
You don't want to have to repair the rust on shock towers or anything.
Right, it's going to slow down the fabrication process, extend the fabrication process, and then it's also going to cost the client more of an investment.
So how many chassis are here now getting worked on?
There are 4 cars every month that are being worked on and being delivered. You know, our goal right now is really to get up to delivering 4 cars a month. We're now delivering roughly about 2 cars a month, so about 24 cars a year, and we want to get to double that right now. But you have cars in various stages right now. So, you know, just in this area right now, we have 3 chassis that are ready to go into paint. We have 4 chassis that are currently in assembly. There's another couple chassis over there that are going to go into assembly probably next week that have already been painted and staged. You know, so there's easily at any point here, you know, 10 to 12 chassis at various different stages moving either through paint, polish, or assembly. And then we have another facility where we do all of our body, so where we produce all the carbon fiber body panels. And since every 993 chassis is slightly different, you know, we do a lot of pre-fitting of the carbon fiber body panels there for that specific chassis. And then they come over to here, to this facility. And so these are, you know, body panels that have been polished and that they're waiting to be fitted in the assembly stage.
More headlights and taillights assembly?
Yep. These are getting prepped and polished for assembly. Here's a roll bar system that would go into a turbo or a coupe. And then our wheel manufacturing. So We cut all of our forged aluminum wheels here. We also do magnesium wheels, but not necessarily at this facility. So what you're looking at here are over here are Hunter road force balancing machines for all of our mounting and balancing. And then we have a Haas lathe and a Haas mill. The mill is a laser guided mill, of which there's only a couple in the country. So we start with a piece of raw forged aluminum. That's what this is right here. We take this and we put it into the lathe, and this spends about 4 hours carving that raw forged aluminum into what comes out looking like this, that will eventually evolve into the wheel face. So this takes about 4 hours to get from raw forged aluminum to look like this. We then bring this over to the mill, and this is where the identity of the wheel design and the face of the wheel comes to life. So it'll be carving into that disc the design of the wheel face. And you can see a wheel face has recently come out of this forged aluminum. And so this process is about 4 hours as well. Yeah, so these are our Gunther Werks 5-lug Fuchs. These are our Gunther Werks Aero Fuchs. So they have these aero vents in there that are designed to pull hot air coming from the brake caliper.
This is something that just is really hard to translate, how much you guys do in-house.
Right.
It's almost unbelievable that all of this stuff is happening in Southern California. And we're not even that far from the beach, too. It's just like, what, a couple miles from the beach?
Couple miles, yep. We're just off Beach Boulevard, just a couple miles down the street. And that's always the first reaction and feedback when we take clients here or members of the press, is that they're blown away by how vertically integrated the manufacturing process is done right here. And I think that's what separates Gunther Werks from being a Restomod company. I really consider us much closer to an OEM than to a Restomod, because we're designing and manufacturing a lot of what goes on the car
This
here.
is getting made here, like right now. That is so amazing. And so many other components too, like, as we saw, headlights, taillights, obviously the carbon bits.
So I want you to feel the weight difference. Hold it with one hand. So this is...
Oh, that's heavy.
Yeah,
That is heavy.
now that's aluminum. Now feel the difference between magnesium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's really light.
And all the wheels are designed and engineered for the performance of our vehicle. So it's not like we're relying on a supplier that makes a wheel application to fit many different manufacturers and models. No, this was designed to specifically fit and support the performance of the Gunther Werks.
Have you had any customers purchase a Gunther Werks vehicle and fit their own wheels on it?
No, not yet, but we do have some clients that say, can you make a specific wheel design for me? We can.
Anything's
We're willing
possible.
to do that, yeah. The investment. So like, this is a Aero Fuchs. This is a wheel design that takes inspiration from a 917 race car, so very much a throwback.
Yeah, that big nut, huh?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. This room is our client showcase and customization area. So this is an area within the factory where we reveal new products to clients or client deliveries. Right next to the vehicle, we have our configurator.
So this is something that you developed?
We had a partner that helped engineer and develop this.
And then so when you create a new vehicle, you have to go in and do all the renderings all over again, everything.
Correct, so we build a new model. So for the turbo, this was our configurator that we designed to support the turbo. And then the vehicle that we released last year, the GWR, this tool will also be engineered to support the configuration of that product as well. And that's a big draw for our brand, is that we have a whole in-house paint department. So we will develop a paint with a variety of different effects, whether that's pearl, whether that's metallic, whether that's glass effect, which we call diamond effect, that has crushed glass in the paint that gives this translucent sparkle that's amazing. So there's no limit to what we can do here in terms of color creation. It's really at the limit of the imagination.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me how detailed it is.
And I think this, when you see how many things that you can customize here, it really shows the breadth
It's literally everything.
of creativity. Yeah, even for a small company like ourselves, we have a wide range of wheels. And the nice thing too is that even if you ordered the original coupe, most of these new interior upgrades, wheels, or exterior components can be added on to earlier vehicles.
So what are we looking at here?
So we are looking at our Signature Series Alcantara pattern. So the Signature Series is unique and only exclusively available via Gunther Werks, and it represents our brand logo in a diffusion effect, as you can see here.
Oh, so it's 2 layers.
It's 2 layers.
And
So
you
you have a backing layer that this is what is the color that determines the X, and then you'll decide on the surface layer for the Alcantara. So this is really fun to play with because you can either, with the backing layer, pull out the color that you're getting on the exterior paint, or pulling out a color that's coming on the interior. It ties it back to the brand identity, which is the X, which is representative of when our founder, Peter Nam, was going out and meeting with potential business partners or suppliers and sharing his idea for the company Gunther Werks.
Does it get overwhelming at times for some of these customers to choose all the tiny little options?
Some customers, yes. So we have a customization library of 16 solid colors, 16 metallic colors with paired leather interiors as well. So for the client that says, you know what, this is too overwhelming for me and I actually don't enjoy doing this creation process. I rather just look at a predetermined menu. It's kind of like you're going into a restaurant and we've already come up with the menu for exterior and interior pairings, and the client can just pick from that. But some other clients like to work with the sous chef and create everything, through their own inspiration. So we have different processes and different programs for different clients in that regard. So right behind here, which I cannot show you, but this is where we house a lot of our parts. If we don't produce it, we also rely on Porsche. So we have a lot of original equipment Porsche parts that are going back on the vehicle. Mostly a lot of kind of nuts and bolts that Porsche uses that we're taking off the donor vehicle and that we're replacing them with brand new factory Porsche components.
So then this is the main
This is the main assembly area. Right. So we have 6 lifts here. The 2 lifts over there are primarily designed to handle after sales and special projects. So this first lift bay is kind of dedicated to our turbos.
So then for customers who want to get their car serviced, they can bring them here.
Yes, absolutely. Most of these cars, they don't need to be serviced here, but these are coming back for some very specific components. A lot of the times they're bringing back their older cars here for upgrades, for new seats, new steering wheel, new suspension, new components that we've designed.
Have you had any customers come back for carbon repair if they had an incident or whatnot?
Yes, every now and then, like we had a client that dropped a tool in his garage, on a body panel, and we had to repair the carbon, and sometimes we can, depending on the level of damage.
So then I'm assuming a lot of these cars get shipped overseas all over the world. Do they ship them back for service, or most of the time they?
Most of the service doesn't, unless it's something major, all the service can be handled locally. They're very easy cars to work on. So the only time it would really come back was if there was a very specific reason that it needed to.
But quite a few of the cars are in the US and also specifically in Southern California?
Yes, the US is our largest market currently. Having said that, our second largest market is Hong Kong, where we have about 12 cars currently and growing. We're going to have at least 6 turbos going over to that market as well. And with our new model that we launched last year, the GWR, that's our new NA product. That car, we're gonna focus mostly on international clients and distribution. So about 60% of the GWRs will be going outside the US and 40 will come here.
These are the 4 lifts that are
Assembly.
most active, that are doing final assembly right now.
Yes. Yeah, so one team is assigned to each car through the various phases of assembly. So that one team stays with the car from when it comes out of paint and polish to here under to final assembly. So you have the same team and crew working through different phases of assembly that sees it from inception to completion.
Where is this engine going into? Is that going into this one?
This is going into this Speedster, the GWX Speedster. This is actually great that we're standing in front of this Speedster because this is a very special motor. This motor is a GWX motor, and so what it has on it compared to the standard Speedster and coupe motors is that it has these unbelievable flat slide throttle bodies. That's what it's housed inside these plates. So if you look at the traditional Speedster motor, you'll notice that they don't have those. So we're only doing 2 GWX Speedsters. One we've already done and delivered, and this is the second and the final. So this will be going into that GWX Speedster over your shoulder soon.
This is so incredible.
Yeah, I mean, look at the plating that houses the flat sliding throttle bodies is so cool.
So cool. It really is amazing. So then, typically, what are the transmissions that you guys use?
G50. So, but then it's modified. So it retains the original casing, and I'm talking just for coupes and speedsters. On the turbos, they use a G96 transmission, but it has bespoke components to it. Just like this G50 has bespoke components inside of it as well.
Does this sound any different than like a butterfly?
It gives it a much more razor, feel. Like the throttle response is insane. So definitely, I mean, you can hear the immediacy and the aggressiveness of the throttle bodies, and it also helps produce a bit more horsepower over the traditional Speedster motor.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So then where are the engines assembled? That's
up in Rothsport in Oregon. It's very much a hybrid partnership because, we designed the intake plenum systems on the motor, so we work hand in glove with them. And, you cannot buy this Gunther Werks motor from Rothsport, but it's definitely a partnership between the two. And, our motors in each program look fundamentally different. As you're seeing right now, this motor looks much different, even though it's still a 4-liter flat 6 compared to the turbo motor, and the fan and the headers is totally different. The success and the strength of our brand is rooted in the talent of the people that are here. As you've seen, everything here is a handmade process, and a lot of these processes are refined processes of more formal traditional processes. But as we've seen, as our carbon fiber products show, the level and attention to detail to the weave is up there with the highest OEMs. And that's because the teams that we have here working on our carbon fiber are some of the original hires and teams that Peter hired over 20 years ago. So it's really strength and depth and the talent of people here. And each team, as I noted, an assembly team will follow each vehicle from initial assembly to completion. And there's a lot of pride behind each vehicle, because each vehicle also has its own distinct identity. It has its own color that's always normally one of one, and it has its own commission name. So there's a lot of interesting identity attributed with each car that comes off this assembly line, and the people that are involved in that definitely take a lot of pride in what they're doing.
What is it like on delivery day for these owners?
It's a big champagne moment. We have some owners that are like, don't send me any photos of the vehicle during assembly stage. I want it to be a surprise. And so, we unveil it under this beautiful car color. We have champagne waiting. It's a big moment. This is not like every other car, but it's very bespoke and one of one.
How much goes into test driving and making sure the fit and finish is right?
So the engines are broken in on the dyno by our engine supplier, Rothsport. But once we've passed final assembly, the cars will pretty much spend maybe 10 days of driving it around and ensuring that everything is in perfectly good working order. So the tires bring a lot of performance to this car, and it's a very unique tire setup. So we have a 335 3018 on the rear. Even more uniquely, especially amongst modern hypercars in the industry today, this is a 295 3018. So it's 11 inches wide. The car has a very neutral balance, and I think that's the reason why it performs so well with this tire setup, is because how we have aligned it on the car.
What's the average price, for example, like let's say the Speedster versus the Turbo?
Our Speedsters are about 1.25 million, depending on the spec. Our Turbo, that's closer to about 1.8 million, just under 1.8 million. So our Turbos start at 1,450,000. And then our GWR that we launched at Quail, that starts at 1,300,000.
That's a bargain.
Yeah. Well, especially I think with the Turbo, with the performance that it has, over 830 horsepower, weighs roughly 2,700 pounds, all the carbon fiber and bespoke elements of it. I still think it's a bargain amongst the competition that exists. I think it's maybe priced too cheaply for the performance that it has.
I think so much of it really comes down to, as you mentioned before, the man hours that go into one of these vehicles.
Right.
For literally every piece and every bit. Nothing is untouched. It goes all the way back down to bare metal. Every carbon bit, all the weave being nice and everything. It's so much. It really is a lot.
It's a tremendous amount of hours and investment. It truly is a labor of love, and you would think that with such a handmade car, it comes out looking so perfect that it almost seems like a machine had to have made it. All the body panel lines are so tight and so perfect. All the weave is so perfect. It's a testament, to the employees that we have here. Really, at the end of the day, they're the ones that make it happen.
How many people work here?
I believe our staff in this building is roughly 55 people. And then we have our other facility in Garden Grove, our body team. So there's maybe 15 other Gunther-related employees over there as well.
Cool. Let's go for a drive.
Yeah, let's go for a drive.
That's about as much power as you would want on the street.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't driven it on the track yet personally, but even on the track, are there straights long enough to enjoy this much power?
It really is at the absolute limit. Any more power, maybe even 20, 25 more horsepower, and second gear is useless. Right now, in track mode with full power, and also with it in comfort because we're on the road and there's a lot of bumps. My goodness, it feels like it's about to pull a wheelie when you floor this thing. Like the nose comes up so much and the suspension is soft and compliant, but my goodness.
Well, you hit on something that to me is most impressive about this car, which is the duality and the Jekyll and Hyde nature of it. You know, yes, it's making over 830 horsepower. Yes, it weighs around 2,700 pounds, but the ride quality, the drivability, and it makes the majority of its torque at such a low RPM, you don't need to wring its neck on the city streets to enjoy its power. So much of that torque is available at a very low RPM. You can start this car from second gear from a dead stop in city traffic. The suspension is so compliant and adaptive that you could daily drive it.
The clutch, really easy. Shifting, very nice, precise. Brakes, doesn't squeal. Actually very street friendly. What's also interesting to me is getting thumbs up, getting people taking pictures of it. It stands out, even though it's a Porsche. Now that sounds dumb, but especially in Southern California, if you drive a 911 pretty much of any sort, you kind of blend into traffic.
Right.
You know, it's honestly the most subtle sports car that you could drive in Southern California. This, with this configuration, with this paint, with a huge wing, oh my God.
Right.
Everybody notices.
People that are not car enthusiasts still recognize that this is something that's a very, very special Porsche. This is not normal. I've never seen anything like this. That's an impressive part of the duality as well. Yes, it's a remastered Porsche, but people that are not Porsche fans know that this is something unlike anything that they've ever seen before.
If I owned this car, I would have it on comfort mode all the time because track mode is just literally too much. It's too much. It's downright scary to drive. I mean,
and the power modes.
Yeah, when I did my pull on the street afterwards, I was kind of shaking a little bit because it was so much. But I guess that's the beauty of it, you know. That's you can.
It's there if you want to experience it.
Exactly.
And we actually had a Formula One driver that stopped by our factory last week, and he was even blown away by the power. And he's like, honestly, it's not that far off from the power in my Formula One car.
It is so much. The delivery is pretty instant. There's really not that much lag, to be honest with you, compared to so many other turbo cars that I've driven. Here's the good thing. Nothing really stood out to me in that there wasn't anything glaring that I had to watch out for. It seemed like if just a normal street car that just had a ungodly amount of power. And also so easy to heel toe, so easy to rev match. Just a great driving car. And I understand that you spend all this money on this car and it may not be out there breaking records. You can, but that's not the point of it. It's just about pure driving enjoyment. And I get it. I understand why so much effort went into this car. I don't even really, now after driving it, when I think about it, so much goes into the way it looks. And of course, me being such a visual person, that's important. But my goodness, from driving it just a little bit, it seems like so much more was put into how it drives.
So much of how it looks is driven by the engineering pursuit of it. So form follows function. So these beautiful wide hips. Our founder, Peter Nam, didn't first draw this of what he wanted to remaster 993. He started off with understanding the importance that mechanical grip and that a tire plays in the role in any car. So he started out figuring out, what was the right tire size and the maximum tire size we could put into this chassis. So he figured out, it's a 295/30/18 and 335/30/18. And then it created these beautiful hips that enshrouded these monstrous pieces of mechanical grip. And so everything about this car is following that engineering pursuit of form follows function. And that's really at the core of our ethos. We won't sacrifice anything for a design aesthetic if it conflicts with an engineering purpose and goal. And so that's what I like too, is that it's still amazing. It's a beautiful bespoke luxury product as well as being an absolute engineering monster, but it always comes from the pursuit of engineering, and that's what we're about. A lot of our owners, our clients, they have 50 cars and they have all the latest hypercars. And so how does this stand out amongst the competition? Well, it's very impactful, and it does stand out once you drive it, because it's very much an analog experience in the modern era. Like the communication and feedback that you get from the car talking to you, the balance of performance, and the weighting of the steering and the bolt action feeling of the gear shift. It's tight and it's notchy, but it's not overly notchy. It has a beautiful mechanical feel. And so all those things, I can say it as much as possible, but it's really until you experience this that you really understand the philosophy. Because driving all modern cars today really feels like a fantastic driving simulator. And this is like being plugged into the Matrix. And you only experience that once you get to drive it.
One of the things that I really also appreciate is the fact that it still feels like driving a 90s 911, in that it shakes, the noise is there, the way the pedals are, how the clutch engages, all of that. Even just like the e-brake, all of it. It reminds me of an older car, but you're not taxed driving it.
That's a nice thing, right? You're not taxed driving it. And that is what gives this car such real world performance too, because some of our owners may not take this to the track, but I still think there's so much that you can enjoy at real world public speeds with this car. You can experience the majority of the torque at public speeds. You can drive it on varying road conditions because of the electronic suspension. All the alignment work we did on the tires, these really wide front tires are not tramlining all over the road. These are the touring seats, so these are an inch wider and have more continuous padding on the bottom and the lower back.
I think this is my favorite feature of the turbo. I mean, the turbo's known for the wide hips, especially the intakes.
Right.
So then what's actually behind here?
This is ducting.
Where does it
ducting
go?
for the turbo, it goes to the turbo, it goes to the motor.
Oh, okay. And also, I have to say, out of all the Gunther Werks vehicles, I like this design the most because, especially paired with the wing, it's very proportional. You guys have really thought of everything, including something as simple as this mirror design. So tell me about this.
So this mirror was inspired from the mirrors that exist on the GT3R Le Mans race cars. So this airfoil wing, it makes it more aerodynamic, but it's also producing downforce as well. And I think it helps also really bring some of this design a little bit closer to modern day, if not futurism. So this is an optional mirror design. So it still uses the factory glass from the 993, so you're not losing any visibility. You're just gaining downforce, and it's more aerodynamic.
And it's offset still, just like on the 993.
Correct. Yep. It's still using the exact same factory mounting points as well.
I have to say, I get speechless a lot. I know a lot of people like to complain about the fact that I always get surprised and I'm always speechless and I'm always blown away. But that's kind of what we're out here for. We're out here to get inspired by creators like Gunther Werks to make something extraordinary, make something that's special, make something that is inspirational. It is just so cool. It really is cool to be able to experience it for myself.
Yes,
One
sir.
last thing. Why is it called Gunther Werks?
Gunther was a person that was involved in the NASA space program. And so he was the last person that was securing the astronauts in the rockets before they went to space and went to the moon. So it was basically the last form of human contact before space flight. So that's where the inspiration for the name came from, and obviously wanted to pick a name that tied to the German identity of these products as well. So those were the reasons.
What a great story.
Yeah.
That's awesome.